Sneakers the Boots comes in, says, fire Carter, bring in Munchak. I'm terrified that we go for broke and are left stranded with our pants down after Aaron Rodgers. I can't do another rebuild. So Rodgers kind of acknowledged the last 2 days or so. They're all on the hot seat, him included. He has to come back and he has to show that he's able to play again. Douglas and Salah have to win games. So not changing Keith Carter feels like a kid just putting his hand on the stove and saying, it's hot, and taking it up and saying, what if I do it again? Like, that's what it feels like. It also feels like a damning indictment on Zach Wilson. Like, this whole regime says, okay, we don't need to change anything with the exception of Zach Wilson, and this team's going to be that much better. Like, we can overcome all the hurdles that were on offense because of what we have available to us to bring into the team and getting Zach Wilson out of here. That's sort of how I read it with Keith Carter. Matt, what did you think about Carter still coming back?
I think it's a joke. I don't think he did anything to earn himself a job for next year. And I know you're going to get the injuries. He plays a factor in those injuries because of how he runs those practices. I mean, Taylor Lewan said it as much in the offseason this past year, where he felt like veterans were getting banged up as the year would go on because of how hard they ran the practices, and they didn't get the rest that they felt they needed. And guess what? Offensive line was insanely injured here as well. And I really wish I made my peace with Nathaniel Hackett coming back. I don't agree with it, but I made my peace with it. I wish they were willing to change up some of these positional coaches because I think running back the same staff is a mistake.
Green Bean, what about you? You think Carter coming back is a mistake?
Well, let me say this. I thought that he would be the guy to fall on the sword, for sure. Mm-hmm. Right or wrong, I thought he was going to do that. I didn't love the job he did, but we don't know what his direction was with, Nathaniel Hackett. Like, I'm a big believer. Like, all right, if you're down, we're on our, at right around the 8th offensive line, alignment, and they're having difficulty picking up the stunts and the communication is off. I'm a big believer with going, you know what? Simplify this. Clearly, Xavier Newman and Phil Hansen, or whatever the hell his name is, they're having difficulty. They're not ready for this, yet we're in a game against the Miami Dolphins nonetheless. It's time to go man. It's time to go straight up power blocking scheme. But I don't think Hackett has the chops to do that. So, what impact Keith Carter has, I'm not sure. But so I think he probably should have been fired. And I think, what's his name? The passing game coordinator. I always forget
Downing.
this guy's name. Downing, right. Thank you. I think that they probably should have gone. But here, I think here's the positive of it. And I think this is probably what the Jets are thinking. We're trying to build something here, and you can't build something starting over every year. You know what I mean? So there's more value in, having a year of mistakes, whether that's with a player or a coach, and kind of learning from that, already taking the lumps, so to speak, rather than bringing somebody else in here to take the lumps all over again. Get to know the guys, see what the strengths are, and blah, 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 blah. So I think they're just like, hey, let's run it back. And I think Boy Green said it in our show earlier on Jets Media. They're all going to get their heads chopped off next year if they suck. So, why not just run it back? Why start? Even for their sake, for Salah's sake, for Hackett's sake, for Ulbricht's sake, why start and bring in and develop a new positional coach? We already got it with this guy, right or wrong, ups and downs, just let's run it back. So I get that logic. You know what I mean? I can see the value there. Whether I agree is a different story, but I can see it.